Hi guys, welcome to Destination with me, Shanice. Today I am at Matero Artist in residency with Mr. Chanda Mwenya, who is the founder, and he's going to be telling us a bit more about his art studio and how he started art over 20 years ago. So, Mr. Chanda, can you please explain to us this beautiful painting right behind you?
Yes, thank you very much and welcome once more. Yeah, the mural on the far left here is done by Charles Mukando. He's a Mazabuka-based artist. And on my right is a mural done by Dwayne Ichika and London Kamwendo. These are the artists behind the famous mural you find at Toyota Zambia. So the guys are trying to change the narrative of street art. So it's not just the street, but also in spaces like these conventional art spaces.
So you mean the same people who made the art at the Toyota flyover bridge, as you are getting into town, the same ones who made this?
Yes.
Oh, this is wonderful. So right about now, Mr. Chanda is going to be taking us right into his studio, where we're going to have a sit down with himself. He's going to be telling us more about his studio. He's going to be telling us his journey of art and
everything to do with creativity.
Everything to do with
But
creativity.
maybe before we go inside, I can show you some of the artworks that I've collected from within the country, because I also promote art by just purchasing the artwork. So I've got a few masks by Smart Banda and a sculpture. So come I show you. These masks, they are quite sentimental. Actually, this is me and my spouse. Yeah, so I call them Till Death Do Us Part. One of the few works that I've kept for a long time. These two I just collected them. They were done by a renowned artist, Chipimpi, I think it's late. It was from the Copper Belt. And then this one is done by my contemporary, the guy that I started my career at the same time with the couple roots. He's also a musician. This one down here is done by Charles Chambata. He's done a lot of larger than works in China, and is the artist behind the sculpture of Jesus Christ in the Cathedral of the Child Jesus, the biggest church in Osaka. These ones, I call them cultural dissidents. If you can see, the concept is a little bit borrowed from Caught in the Web, the installation that I did in Japan. So these were drums. As you know, drums are tools of communication, but they were discarded, and I got them and made these masks. So it was just like giving back life to something that has been thrown away. That's why I call them cultural dissidents. Then the sculpture on top there is Smart Banda, and I've collected these few works by upcoming artists. This one is done by Max Kapopo. He's Charles Chambata's apprentice. This one here is done by Adrian Ngoma, a renowned artist. He's also a teacher at Matero Girls, and also working closely with Matero Artist in residence. This one is done by Chiga Parwando. He's working a lot with ethnic masks from Congo. So he's done a lot of works around this theme. These ones are my collection. I collected them from Saturday Market, but then I added this aesthetic hair or synthesized here, I would say. I call them the lost tribe. Yeah, because these are ethnic tribes and then ethnic masks, and then there are these artificial hairs. So I call them the lost tribe. This one is a collection from Othoniel Kanjonja, a very renowned artist. This one was part of my schoolwork during my study at the National Art Academy in Oslo. It was a 3-piece work, but the other 2 I saw them in Oslo, so I kept this one as a souvenir. It's called Rhythm of the Drum. Of course, this portrait by the president is done by Kelly Zulu, one of the upcoming artists with very strong presence on the Zambian art scene at the moment. The biggest turning point in my creative career was in 2003, when I joined in participating in the UNESCO Digital Arts Award, which was a global competition where the organization invited artists from across the globe to submit proposals which were themed on the promotion of digital pluralism, because the advent of computers was just like coming into play, especially on the African continent. So they wanted a way to see how it was also influencing local cultures. So my project proposal, which was anchored on the African drum as a tool of communication, comparing it to the computer and the internet. Yeah. So the comparison was very what can I say? There was a very big contrast between the 2 tools. You know, a drum as a tool of communication and also the computer. And also tried to see how the 2 tools were influencing cultures in their own respect. Okay. So my proposal was awarded the first prize, and
that's wonderful.
Yeah, it was really something that I worked hard to achieve, because I did a lot of research also. Yeah. So the award was $5,000. And
that was a lot back then.
Yeah, it was a lot of money actually. It was a turning point, like I said.
Okay, so the award, was it only monetary award, or you were also given an opportunity to?
Yeah, it was.
Work.
It was threefold, I would say. There was a monetary part of it, and then there was artist residence, and which also included some kind of learning process, because I worked with renowned professors in digital media art. So, yeah, I think it was a biggest learning curve, because after my residence,
where was the
in Japan, it was in Ogaki city in Japan, near Nagoya city. Mm-hmm. So it was a smaller city as compared to Nagoya. So when I came back after 6 months, I realized that my creativity and also my perception of the society was different, because I began to appreciate things more than I did before. You know, certain things that didn't make sense socially or creatively started to trigger, you know. I started to pay more attention to certain things, like maybe the most intriguing thing that I paid much attention to was life on the sidelines of the city, you know, like in the ghetto, you know. Yeah. So I immediately started this project I called Ghetto Life, where I was basically documenting everyday life of the ghetto. You know, not really like focusing on the negative aspect, but for me, what I saw was the unique energy that these places radiate, you know. Yeah. So I had my first solo exhibition at the British Council. When I talked to them about my intention to have this show, they embraced it and thought it was something that was worth doing.
Here in Zambia?
Yes, the British Council in Osaka.
Okay.
Yeah. So my residence in Japan actually birthed my transition really from fine art into digital art or digital media platforms, where I started using pictures and sound and installation art. And this trajectory actually put me on a path to exhibit and participate more in international forums. My involvement in these international activities started to grow because soon after my participation in the Luleå Biennale, I was invited in Jukkasjärvi in Sweden, like the northmost town on the Arctic Circle. Okay. What was happening there was the construction of a hotel out of ice and snow. Yeah, yeah. It's one of the most famous and expensive hotels, and I'm going to be part of that legacy because I was the first African to participate in that venture. Yeah, and after that, you know, I became just active in Germany, in Sweden, back and forth. And when I came back to Zambia in 2007, because in between I was like in and out of the country. Yeah, and in 2007, the Norwegian government, through NORAD, before it left the country, I was given a scholarship to study fine art at the National Academy in Oslo, where I did my bachelor from 2007 and 2010. And after my studies, I immediately came back, and a year later, I joined the Zambia Daily Mail as a photojournalist.
Okay. With your experience and your exposure to maybe travel to many countries and get exposed to many international artists, what have you created or founded that has helped encourage other artists or younger artists to maybe help bring about or encourage them in art in a way that you did not have when you were younger yourself? Yes.
Thank you very much for that. I think that the biggest drive is first to realize your potential and appreciate that this is what you want to do. Okay, and once you have that in you need to be determined, because success doesn't come overnight. You know, it took me 5 years. About 5 years before I made my first international outing. It took, I think, more than a year or two before I sold my first painting through an established gallery. In the beginning, I used to paint and give out to friends, whoever liked my painting. But to sell a painting and earn money out of it, it took me several years into it. Yeah. So the problem that I often see with young artists is that they want to start and make it big there and then, without realizing that it takes a lot of determination, a lot of input, a lot of criticism. You know, sometimes you find that established artists will criticize you. I had the similar experience. I think one of my trips, I was going to Sweden. There was this big artist, I will not mention the name. So we met at the airport, And he told me, why are you going to say, no, I'm going to Sweden to do this and this. Then he said, I don't consider that as art. You know, it was very frustrating because this was one person that I was looking up to for inspiration, and then they said, what you're doing is not art. So you need to also have a lot of trust in you that you can overcome such, reaction. So I think this is not only in art, but in whatever career you want to do, you need to remain determined, patient. And again, when you make it big, you don't need to forget about what it took for you to be there, because you need to continue working hard to stay afloat. Otherwise, everything can come. Because what it is when you're growing in your career, there are other people also coming behind you. So if you falter, they will surpass you. Yeah.
So how did the Matero Artist in Residence come about?
It came about from the interest of trying to promote, like you say, trying to promote this creativity and also support the young, especially the young upcoming artists, to believe in themselves and know that there are people out there who believe in what they are doing. So far, because I started this in 2019, and as you may be aware, 2019, that's when we also had COVID-19. So most of the activities, the creative activities, have stalled. So I've had just one local artist in residence who was here, Monty Chimunda, a very vibrant artist. From Monty, we've been having just artists come for a day, work here, go, and so on and so forth. But since COVID has come here to stay, we just have to know how to work around it and invite also international artists to come and exchange, because if we can't make our artists go there, we can also bring artists out there to come here and exchange ideas, because art is about also not just using your ability, but also to share with the like minds.
My name is Douglas Mulenga, and I'm part of Mr. Chanda's art in Matero resident. The things that I've benefited in his studio is encouragement, skills, and mentorship.
Where do you get your inspiration for your art?
I think it's the realization, to start with the potential that I had in me and just following my dream. But along the way, I've been inspired by prominent artists, locally, William Miko, the late Chanda Mwenya, Mr. Yombwe. Mr. Yombwe, Rollins actually did a portrait of my late father, which was in the house. He did it in 1978. So this portrait, knowing that it was done by one of the masters, I think has been an inspiration to look at it and grow with it, because it's a portrait that was in the living room. Yeah, and of course I took a lot of time to read also about our own Zambian art and also the European art. So I think that foundation has been a drive to keep me afloat.
Okay, what's the future plan 10 years from now, artists in residence? Where will that be?
The dream is to have it as an institution and also connect it to other synergies which are coming up, like the Lusaka Contemporary Art Center, the Mozi Art Center, because these are platforms which are sort of reawakening a unique energy into from these upcoming artists. So the dream is to have many of these, not just this one in Matero, but have others on the other side of the township, others come up in George, so that every little potential which is there should be enhanced and brought to the fore. This is some masks by Smart Banda, and these ones, the metal, these ones created by Boyd Bishonga, is actually using scrap metal, sonar metal, to come up with art. So it's quite a sustainable way of also keeping our environment.
So if anyone wants to purchase your art or get in contact with you, how do they go about that?
This space has got an online presence on Facebook, and there's a contact detail there. So there's also a map that can direct them to come over here. So some of the works inside are for sale, some of them are
For display?
yeah, just for display, their own collection, and there's no price on them. So.
Oh, okay guys, thank you very much for joining me on this week's episode. Join me on next week's episode as I go to yet another destination place and we can go and appreciate art. So for Mr. Chanda's information and Facebook links, I'm going to leave them right down in the description below. If you've got anything you want to get in touch with him and myself, just leave a comment, or you can go to Matero Artist in Residence on Facebook at his page and get in contact with him, or you can go on my page at Destination with me, Shanice. So till next week, don't forget to subscribe for more videos. And
my name is Lawrence Yombwe. You are watching Destination with Shanice. Thank you.